Thank you so much for being a part of our study. We're in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 9, Rudy's day off, and thank you for videoing these with me today. We do all of them in one day. We're in chapter 9, verse 6. Know then that the Lord your God is not giving you this good land to occupy because of your righteousness, for you're a stubborn people. Remember and do not forget how you provoked the Lord to wrath in the wilderness. You've been rebellious against the Lord from the day you came out of this place. Even in Horeb, that's Mount Sinai, you provoked the Lord to wrath. When I went up to receive the stone tablets, while I was up there, Moses was worshiping God, and the Hebrew people were worshiping idols.
Yeah, they were making the golden calf.
Making the golden calf. And let me just talk about, I'm going to ask you, I even brought a cup of coffee over to drink while you talk. I think about how quickly we can slip. They've just come by a mighty hand out of slavery from Egypt. Moses is communing with God. There's all this stuff taking place on the mountain. And they have turned. And I have to say, God, I'm guilty. There are times when I've had great experiences with God, and then so quickly I turn to my own self-centeredness, my own pride, my own will, my own stuff. And so that's what they did. And so the Lord said, get up, go down quickly. This is verse 12. For your people you brought from Egypt have acted corruptly. They've been quick to turn away from my commandment. I've seen them. They are stubborn people. So he said, let me alone. I'll destroy them. I'll make a new nation. Rudy, talk about some of that.
Well, what you were talking about just a second ago about how we flip so easily, the children of Israel started building this golden calf within about 2 months of them crossing the Red Sea. And that's pretty fast,
Yes.
if you ask me.
Yeah.
And so I have this problem, always, and really what the Lord is working with me on right now is when I'm feeling this grinding, so to speak, in my spirit that things aren't the way that I think that they should be. I have some terrible behaviors that go behind that, but that are oppressive. And what the Lord's trying to work with me on right now is just, in those situations, ask me to show you how to be kinder.
Yeah.
And I think, actually, because really the individual problems are as much of a mountain in our lives as if you were trying to walk up Mount McKinley. Sometimes you just can't do it. At my age, I couldn't do it. But it's not any different than what God is saying about the promised land. I'm going to go before you. So if you turn to him, is actually the way that you're able to scale the mountain that's in front of you. I think that's kind of, but also in the back of your mind, you have to kind of keep thinking about the promised land that's being written about right here, that Israel is going in to possess and other people are being taken out so they can possess. This ultimately is an echo of heaven.
Yeah.
And sin cannot, there can be no sin in heaven because, I'm not sure why, but because I think that's what this life is all about, to build strategies or a relationship with the Lord that hones down our skill of being unto others as we would want them to be unto us.
Sounds good. There's a couple of thoughts that I have here. One of them is, one of the things is big on, and I'm holding my Bible up because there's a couple of chapters I'm pointing to.
It's a lot of red.
A lot of red, a lot of underlining there. one of the big deals is God is saying, you're in the promised land, not because you're so good. You're in the promised land because I am so good. You know, it is the grace of God, and that is true for all of us. I am not a servant of God because I'm good. I'm a servant of God because He is good. You know, I don't have a hope of heaven because I have somehow merited it on my own. I have a hope of heaven because of what He has done for me. That's one point. The second point is, how do we root out this stubborn heart? I've got one. I've been doing this for a long time, and I still have a stubborn heart. And I write about this a lot because it's one of my kind of life verses. Jesus said, I'm the vine, you're the branches. He who abides in me and I in him, he'll bear much fruit. And he says, apart from me, you can do nothing. And so if I'm not abiding in him, if I'm not living in communion with him, in fellowship with him, my stubborn heart is going to rear up.
And nothing will grow.
No, correct.
That's part of this image of heaven and understanding God's sovereignty in the whole creation is that He took the Israelites out of Egypt where they irrigated their crops by the Nile. It's not going to be this way in Israel, because if you turn from me, I'm not going to provide the early and the late rain so that you have crops that grow. And the way that this works out for us is like when is that when you take a subatomic particle of skin and a subatomic particle of rock and you put them into an accelerator and break them down into their structures, can't remember the name for that right now, but they break the particles down. You can't tell the difference between a rock and your skin. So ultimately what that tells me is that we cannot grow in the same way that the land can't produce, because the only thing that can make anything grow, which has to do with that He is the vine and you're the branch,
right.
Without being attached to Him, nothing good can happen. And you know, this sounds like details that aren't important, but when you're able to collate them back into yourself, and I don't believe there's any mistake that a rock and you are the same subatomic particles, because in the book of Genesis, God picked up dirt and breathed the breath of life into it. The only reason that you're animated is because of Him.
That's exactly right. Hey, thanks a bunch for being a part. We have a lot more to say about this. We'll see you tomorrow. We'll be talking about a lot of the same, and God bless you. Thank you, Rudy.